This is an ET Now Startup Central special, and you can even call it a global exclusive because we are in conversation with one of the most celebrated internet entrepreneurs. He founded a company 15 years back on the internet as a not-for-profit, but it's become one of the most enduring brands online and the fifth most popular website in the world. We are, of course, talking about Wikipedia, an online encyclopedia, I'm sure, which all of us have used or use on a daily basis at some point. We are joined by its founder, Jimmy Wales, all the way from London. Unusual for an internet entrepreneur to be based in any other area but the Bay Area, but London is the preferred area for Jimmy Wales. Mr. Wales, thank you so much for joining us here on ET Now. You've been a frequent visitor to India over the last few years. I even remember meeting you way back a few years back in Chennai, where you had launched the Wikipedia Academy. I just wanted to get your thoughts on how you've seen the digital landscape evolving here. Smartphone penetration has really gone through the roof. Would you say this is a tipping point for India in that sense?
No, it's very exciting what's going on in India and really all across the world. The rise of the really inexpensive mobile phones is fueling a huge growth in the mobile internet around the world. We see increasing bandwidth everywhere, dropping prices, so that more and more people are able to come online for the first time, and it's a very exciting time.
How would you look at leveraging the opportunity here? I mean, regional languages, local languages, it's something that you've been optimistic on in the last few years. But in terms of the actual traction that you're seeing here in terms of local languages, take us through that.
Yeah, we've always had a real passion for all the regional languages. We want to have a free encyclopedia for everyone on the planet in their own language, in their mother tongue. That's a really important core value to us. In terms of machine translation, well, our volunteers don't normally find it super helpful. It can be an aid to some of our work, but for the most part, it's building local communities, people who are very passionate about the project, to build Wikipedia for their own people in their own language.
Take us through in terms of scale where Wikipedia is today. I mean, in terms of the online contributors that you have, has the increased penetration in smartphones also helped you in that perspective? Give us a sense of the scale that you are seeing here in terms of your contributors in India.
Yeah, in terms of scale, we've got thousands and thousands of contributors. As people come on mobile, they are interacting with the site in new ways, in different ways. We've had a global photo competition that really got a lot of results. Obviously, there are challenges because to edit Wikipedia on a mobile device is always going to be very difficult. But we find that the fact that there are more readers means that people who do have access to a computer are more motivated to contribute because they know that people who are coming online for the first time on a mobile device will actually have something to read in their own language. So, it's all very motivating for everyone.
Mr. Wales, what role do you believe the e-commerce space has played in, increasing awareness about online, about internet? Because there's been this huge surge as far as e-commerce sites in India are concerned.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's all of the different pieces are coming together. So it's e-commerce, it's information, it's communication with friends, it's cheaper devices, it's cheaper bandwidth. All of these things do bring us to a tipping point where I believe in a few years' time, access to the internet will be ubiquitous. It'll be similar penetration levels to radio. So this won't happen overnight, but it's coming faster than most people realize.
If there's one buzzword for all content-related sites, it's really video. Take us through your own plans for video and what role this is going to play for you going forward.
Well, I mean, for us, we're really focused on the online world, on the digital. We've got a new app on iOS that's really interesting. It'll come to Android soon. We're really a very digital organization, so that's what we focus on.
unlike Wikipedia, which is hugely successful, your other ventures, say a Wikia or even a social networking venture that you were exploring as a Facebook alternative, haven't really taken off. What are your own learnings from these ventures?
Well, I mean, Wikia is now the something like the 15th most popular website in the world, so it's doing okay. So, and it's growing very, very quickly. It actually has more content than Wikipedia now, so it's doing very well. I think the main thing that I learned from all my ventures, both successful and unsuccessful, is the power of providing communities of people the tools they need to accomplish goals that they have, and that's really been the focus of my work always.
You know, considering Wikipedia is built as a non-profit, in the past you've struggled for donations in the sense, you know, end of the year users get this banner on top of the site that they are seeing on Wikipedia. How is the situation now? And you know, will you also look at tapping philanthropists, tech billionaires, millionaires, so to speak, who are interested in building a more connected society?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, yes, we still have to do our fundraiser from time to time. We've gotten more sophisticated, so we don't bother people as much as we used to. A lot of our donors are repeat donors, so when we email them and say, hey, you donated a year ago, they tend to repeat give, and so that's been very helpful. And yeah, we're building, for the long term, we're building an endowment fund that's separate from our normal budget to give more of a long-term perspective. We think of Wikipedia as kind of an institution, and yeah, I'm absolutely going out to all the tech billionaires and saying, hey, you should chip in. We all benefit from Wikipedia.
Coming to the Indian internet landscape, if there's one term that's really dominated mind space here in the last year, it's been net neutrality. Especially with, you know, Facebook's internet.org and then Free Basics getting a lot of slack. It was ultimately banned by the government. What is your own take on this whole issue, considering, you know, Wikipedia also has a Wikipedia Zero offering? Do you think, you know, it was justified the way the government went about this battle for net neutrality?
Yeah, so our Wikipedia Zero offering follows a very strict set of principles, such as no money is ever exchanged, and so on. Net neutrality is such a very, very complicated topic. It's something that I'm very passionate about. I think net neutrality is incredibly important. And at the same time, I think that getting access to knowledge for the poorest people in the world is also very important. Sometimes those two things can be to some degree in tension, and we have to be really careful about it. I think the most fundamental thing is that it's really important that we maintain a very open and free internet and a free flow of information. And so, you know, the detailed policy options, well, it gets very subtle, but net neutrality is very important.
But do you believe the Indian government went about it the right way? You know, granted, there was a lot of outrage online, a lot of internet campaigns against Facebook, against Free Basics. But do you think the Indian government did the right thing in really clamping down on Free Basics in that sense?
Well, I'm not an expert on the specific legislation and the specific details of the Indian case. What I do say is I encourage people on all sides to come together and really think about all of the different competing values and how do we best balance them. Was this the best balancing act? I'm not really in a position to say.
Mr. Wales, in the absence of, you know, these zero-rated products or Free Basics, what do you believe can be the next best alternative to build a more digital India or a more connected India? I mean, Google's Project Loon is something that's, you know, creating a lot of excitement. There have also been suggestions from some experts that the government should perhaps explore a subsidy for internet as well. But what do you believe can be the next best alternative for India?
Well, I mean, for me, I think one of the biggest fundamentals is the ongoing march of technology will continue to make access, to make bandwidth cheaper and cheaper, to make devices cheaper and cheaper, and that alone is going to have an enormous amount of impact. And we want to make sure that any regulations that we have don't get in the way of that progress. beyond that, there's a lot of different things, a lot of charitable initiatives, a lot of making sure that schools have good connectivity, so that's one route that people have in. I'm not sure there's a single best approach. I'm an entrepreneur. I like to see lots of different things being tested and tried because you never know what's the best until you've actually tried it.
Right. Also take us through the key trends that you're seeing as far as the internet is concerned. I mean, AI is a term that's just about being bandied about everywhere. It was also a key theme at Google's recent I/O. But what do you believe are going to be the key trends that will define the internet in the medium term?
Well, I mean, I think one of the biggest things that is beginning to happen now is connected devices and autonomous devices. So I think that driverless cars is going to be a major technology wave that's coming in the next few years. And again, it's the kind of thing that's coming faster than most people realize. I think that's going to have enormous impact. Obviously, artificial intelligence, as we see devices become more intelligent, so to speak, also will have a major impact. I'm a little bit skeptical of some of the current hype around AI. We've been through this before. It's always harder than people think, but we are seeing some major progress in terms of devices being able to behave in more autonomous ways, and I think that's a huge trend.
And how do you believe India can really participate in the evolving internet landscape? I mean, is there scope for a global brand internet company to be built out of India? So far the forte here has really been on the services front. If you see, the millions of engineers getting recruited by IT companies, by technology companies. Do you see that changing?
I mean, I think it's a huge opportunity for India. Obviously, India has become a nation with a very strong IT sector, which, as you rightly point out, has traditionally been more involved in the B2B and back office segment of the industry rather than large consumer-facing brands. I think the right approach for India is to encourage entrepreneurship, make it easy for young people to start a new business, build up the angel investor class. Begin to have some of the structures that we see that are successful in promoting innovation around the world, which mostly involves just making sure it's possible for young people, that it's not too onerous, too much regulation and so forth.
So Wales, internet entrepreneurs have taken off in a big way in the last couple of years. People quitting college or people coming out of college, just starting up. As someone who's built one of the most enduring brands in the internet, enduring companies, Wikipedia, what would your own advice be to this whole generation of internet entrepreneurs? I know Wikipedia is not built, on profit, on valuation, but what would your advice be for these entrepreneurs, to ensure that valuation doesn't really get ahead of them?
I mean, my advice, it may sound like a cliche, but it's one that I wholeheartedly believe in. Build something that you love. Build something that you think needs to exist in the world. If you do that, it will be successful.
And what's the best advice you've received in your career?
Get enough sleep. I think a lot of times when people are ambitious and young, they think the way to get ahead is to cut short sleep and work too many hours, but you can't be creative. You can't do your best work unless you get a lot of sleep. So it's not lazy to have a good night's sleep.
Finally, Mr. Wales, when are we going to see you in India next?
I'm actually not sure. I think I don't have a current trip to India scheduled, but I'm usually in India once or twice a year, so I should be back soon.
Great. Thank you so much for talking to ET Now on our show, ET Now Startup Central, and I'm sure we look forward to meeting you here when you're in India.
Yes, of course. Thank you.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at @etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.